Hey there, welcome to Monday Afternoon Advanced Live Stream. I'm Peter, and we're joined this week by Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hi, hello everyone.
Good to have Linda with us as always. Our topic this week, we're glad you joined us, is fashion. Fashion, darling, fashion. And we are going to have some fun with it today. We are going to give you a chance, as always, to practice your English. And the topic, as always, is chosen from, or sort of spun off from, our trusty Advanced magazine. Here's the April issue. And the article today is about a fashion company that makes clothing partly out of carbon emissions. So recycling carbon emissions into clothing. Good article, and it got us thinking about fashion and high fashion and low fashion, and we'll talk about that today, and we'll maybe give you some terms to understand, but as always, some vocabulary that means something when you're talking about fashion, but also means something when you're not talking about fashion, so it's not just a bunch of technical words that you're never going to use outside of a discussion of fashion. Anyway, you can, as always, start by chiming in on our poll question for today. Our poll question is, are you interested in fashion? You interested in fashion? I have 4 possible answers here. Number 1, darling, of course I'm interested in fashion. I live for fashion. Number 2, I like to dress well. You know, I'm not a fashionista, maybe, but I like to look good when I dress, pay attention to it. Number 3, hey, as long as my clothes fit, you know, that's good. I'm not trying to mix and match or create a blend, whatever that is, as long as the clothes fit. Or number 4, sweatpants and flip-flops for me. No concern about fashion at all. I just put on the clothes that I need to do what I need to do, and that's it. Linda, are you interested in fashion?
I am, but I'm definitely not a fashionista. I am definitely not number 1. I would say I'm in between 2 and 3. Sometimes I'm 4 if I just want to be comfortable. So it depends on, I guess, my mood or the occasion. Like if it's an occasion to dress up, then I will definitely be number 2 or higher.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in about the same place there. I like to dress well, but I'm not, you know, knocking myself every day, trying to make sure I haven't worn the same shirt twice in a week, or that my belt, well, actually I do make sure that my belt matches my shoes, so I'm kind of up there, but yeah,
I
somewhere
do
in the middle.
like making sure my outfit matches, and my friends will always comment about that. It's not that I'm really intentional about matching, having everything the same color, which I often do, but it's just because I tend to buy things that are similar colors, and so they end up just being all the same color. But I do like when it coordinates.
Sure. And who have we got? We've already got some of you responding. There's at least one of you out there, 9% of you, who say, darling, of course I'm interested in fashion. Is it even a question? 36% of you like to dress well, number 2. 55% of you, the biggest so far, as long as my clothes fit, I'm happy, you know. And no one has checked in for sweatpants and flip-flops yet, so we'll see how that goes.
College students would fall under
that's a good point,
for
yes.
A lot of them.
College students often the
sweatpants and flip-flops and go to class, just whatever is comfortable. No attention to what's fashionable. But then you have some other college students. Next door we have a university, and a lot of their majors are into fashion, so we see very fashionable college students walking around here. Right,
and we got some folks saying hi here. Hi Agatha, good to see you. And Kason, good afternoon to you. And Agatha, in my opinion, fashion equals money. Yes, it does. The two often go hand in hand, fashion and money.
But you can get things at a discount, and that's what I like doing. When I go back to the States, I buy things like brand names, but for much cheaper, and you can do that at outlet stores or when stores have big sales. And I would say in the States, there are a lot bigger sales than I find here.
Oh, really?
So I always wait to go back home and buy clothes.
Now, how about this shirt here? Did you get this here or in the States?
I got this from somebody here. So this is basically a hand-me-down. I didn't buy this. Yeah.
Great way to get clothes sometimes. Hand-me-down, meaning you get it secondhand from someone else or even from within your own family.
Right. Or you can go to second-hand stores where you can buy used items. It might not be as popular here, but in the States, people love going to second-hand shops where they can find treasures, because it could be a vintage item, an item that has been around for a real long time, and so it has value. Well, actually, everything always comes back into style. So if you hold on something, a piece of clothing, it will come back into style at some point.
Yes.
And become vintage.
Oh, yes. No, when I lived in New York City, I used to shop at the Salvation Army all the time. It's a thrift shop system in the States, maybe overseas too, but they sell secondhand clothing, and you can really get some good clothing there for very little money. Esther, hello. Hi, teachers. Peter Chiang, good afternoon to you. Steve, good to have you with us as always, Steve. Steve says, I remembered I was doing fast fashion report that included Maslow's theory, recycle all the clothes to let people reuse and wear them, and my drawings to show how the process kept going. Good for you, Steve. Find a way to bring your drawing, your art, into discussion of fashion. Great. And
Steve brings up the topic of sustainable fashion.
Yes.
Our article is actually about that, using carbon emissions to create clothing. So that is an example of sustainability or eco-friendly fashion.
Right.
So yes, we want to keep Mother Earth healthy.
This dress right here, made partly from carbon emissions. Read to find out how. And Agatha, yeah, many shops in the U.S. have a spring sale, sure.
There's sales every season, though.
That's true, I guess. But no, I got actually here in Taipei, I got some sweaters several years ago that were on sale because it was spring. Nobody's buying sweaters anymore. And I got some really nice sweaters for like almost half off what I would have got otherwise.
Yeah, I love discounts.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Kaysen brings up the point that the best fashion is actually an outfit that best suits you, a personalized fashion. Yes, and we have a word that's coming up.
We have a word, yes. That's a great lead-in, Kaysen, to our first vocabulary word for today. Let's give it to you now. Bespoke. B-E-S-P-O-K-E, bespoke. Linda, what does bespoke mean?
So bespoke is something that has been custom made for a particular person or for something specifically. So when we talk about bespoke fashion, that includes clothing, apparel, attire that has been made specifically for that person. And that is that is how people would get their clothes made. You would have it especially tailored for you. But with more people on Earth, there is bigger populations, that companies or factories started mass producing clothing. Right.
And we even have a term for mass-produced clothing. We have a couple of them, actually. We'll give you just one today, but we'll mention the others in passing. That is off the rack. It's a term, 3 words, off the rack. Something is off the rack, it means basically the opposite of bespoke. It means it wasn't made specifically for you according to your measurements, your body type and such. Off the rack is what you find at the Gap.
Or any clothing store, basically.
Yeah. Or any clothing store where they produce, small, medium, and large, or extra large, or extra, extra large, but where you buy it off the rack.
You literally take it off the rack.
You take it off the rack and you go and pay for it, right. And there's another term for off the rack. Linda, do you know what it is? It's a French term originally. She didn't know I was going to ask her this, so.
My French is not that good. I didn't ever study French, so.
Yeah, no, the term is...
I know the term for high fashion, but what's the term for off the rack?
For off the rack is prêt-à-porter.
I have heard of that.
Prêt-à-porter, which is very bad French pronunciation, literally means ready to wear.
Right.
And you'll sometimes see that, or people will say it. It's off the rack, it's ready to wear, again with the hyphens, and means the same thing. Just non-bespoke clothing that is made for mass, for a variety of people to wear and to buy. Joy, hello Joy, always nice to see you. Great body shape and knowledgeable talks are the fashion that you can't buy. Yes, it's true, there are some things that money can't buy, but God has made us in all different kinds of ways, and so we have made all different kinds of fashions and fashion choices to clothe our bodies and make them look good.
And I would say each person has their own sense of style or fashion. So we don't have to be the same at all, but there are things that will come into fashion and go out of fashion. And people who like to be up on the trends, like to wear whatever is latest and in style, we say that those people are very trendy.
Yes, good. We don't have that for you today, but it's a good word, trendy, T-R-N-D-Y. It just means follows the fashion, very up on the latest styles, like Linda was saying. But come to think of it, let's give you a few vocab terms we do have about specific fashion styles or fashion categories, maybe. They might have subcategories within them. But the first one of those is, here's maybe you've heard of it, Bohemian. B-O-H-E-M-I-A-N, Bohemian. Linda, what does Bohemian mean?
So the Bohemian style is very free-flowing, as free-spirited, something kind of like this.
Kind of like that,
This would be categorized as Bohemian because it's got these strings, it's like pastels. A lot of Bohemian wear are florals, are long flowing skirts, clothes that are very comfortable. And I think of Bohemian like I think of hippie. If you know that period of time, in the 60s, hippies, they wore very loose clothing, very comfortable clothing, and kind of artsy.
Yes. Bohemian is anything you would not wear to a job interview or to a business meeting of some sort. It's like the opposite of that, although it depends on the job.
There is Bohemian chic, and so you can look very stylish in a Bohemian way.
This is true. Yeah. Now we got an interesting comment from Kaysen here. Thank you, Kaysen. No, my interpretation of the statement, I assume you mean Joy's statement about great body shape and knowledgeable talks of the fashion you can't buy. Kaysen says, my interpretation of the statement is that fashion is not necessarily expensive. And I would agree with you there, Kaysen. As long as the outfit suits us and can represent our own personal style, it's the best fashion for us. Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Kaysen. You'll see in the thumbnail for our video today that we're having a little fun, and I'm sort of dressing up in a sort of expensive, glamorous kind of fashion. But that's just one kind of fashion. That's not all that we mean when we talk about fashion. That's just kind of exaggerated a little bit.
Right.
Good point, Kaysen. Thanks for sharing.
And Agatha makes the point that, her favorite colors are black and white, and it never goes out of style, and that's very true.
Yes, black and white.
Basics, yeah.
Yeah,
they will stay in style.
I mean, true. Men have been wearing black and white tuxedos to formal events for at least a century, maybe longer. Women, for formal events, there's more variety. There's more color and whatnot. In fact, here's another vocab word for you. Hem, or hemline, H-E-M/H-E-M-L-I-N-E. Linda, what do we mean by the hem or the hemline?
So that is where the garment ends. So if we're talking about a skirt, it is the edge of the skirt at the bottom. The hemline might be at your knees or below your knees or at your ankles. So wherever it ends, that is the hemline.
Right.
The hem.
And that's one term that you can use to talk about fashion if you happen to be looking through a magazine or watching a video clip of fashion. You can say, oh yes, look at the hemline on that dress as compared to that dress, and how that changes the feel, the look of the dress.
And also fashion periods, we can say the hemlines have been shortened or the hemlines have gotten longer depending on what decade it is or a year. It will determine what length the hemlines are.
Yes, good point. There's actually an economist who came up with a theory that hemlines tend to be shorter or higher up in times of economic prosperity and longer in times of economic downturn.
And that totally makes sense because it requires less fabric to make shorter skirts or dresses, and it requires more fabric to make longer skirts or dresses. So you will save money if you use less material.
Yes, there you go. So there are some larger ideas connected to fashion than just, what's popular, what's trendy these days. Steve says, sometimes I went past Dunhill in London and Hugo Boss. I don't buy them because I think just wear a simple suit and tie for a job interview or attend a friend's wedding. Absolutely, Steve. Yeah, there's no need to be glamorous necessarily. Glamorous fashion, like what the rock stars wear and what the fashion models wear, is one form of fashion. Another form is, as you say, simple suit and tie or simple black and white, like we've been saying. Let's give you another fashion style, in fact, that sort of leads into this. We talked about Bohemian a moment ago, which is kind of like what Linda's wearing there. The kind of the opposite or an opposite of Bohemian is Preppy. Preppy, Preppy. Linda, what does Preppy mean?
Well, Preppy comes from preparatory.
Preparatory.
So preparatory school. People who go there, actually a private school.
Right.
So students who go to a private school, they will wear uniforms, and their uniforms will be more formal, jackets and ties, and hemlines that are modest for girls,
yes.
But quite formal. But we would call that preppy. So
right, yeah.
if you are, if you're wearing a suit or a tie or a jacket and you look, doesn't have to be completely formal, but formal-ish, we would say that's pretty preppy.
Right. If you've seen the old movie Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams plays a teacher in a boys' boarding school in New England in the 1950s, the northeast of America. That's preppy. That's a prep school, and that's preppy fashion. I actually went to a boarding school for a couple of years just like that one. And you always had to wear a suit and tie to class. You had to wear socks, although that was one way that a lot of the kids would rebel, is by not wearing socks.
And dress shoes too,
right, dress shoes too,
Yeah.
loafers usually, or tasseled loafers, tie-up shoes. Not like, we say uniforms, but not like the uniforms that we have here in Taipei for the school students. These would be more, compared to those, these would be more formal uniforms. Yeah, like blazer, a V-neck sweater, and very conservative generally, just sort of not like with all these tassels and these sort of bright colors.
And a lot of prints. It's
Exactly,
very
yeah.
basic colors.
Right, plaids even. Let's see, Steve. Oh, I'm sorry, we already read your comment there, Steve. Thank you again for that, though. In fact, speaking of comments, let's quick throw you a discussion question. We are already running down of time, but what part of your appearance do you pay most attention to? Kind of bring the topic home to us a little bit here, off of the pages of Vogue and GQ. What part of your appearance do you pay the most attention to? Your hair, your clothing, your cosmetics, your shoes, accessories like a belt or a watch or a hat. Which part do you pay the most attention to? Because I think most of us probably, we're not fashion models, we're not the editor of Vogue and GQ, and so we don't pay a lot of attention to what we wear, except for like my hat. I always know what the trendy hats are, or my shoes, or my glasses, even if you wear glasses. Linda, what part do you say?
I would say clothes in general,
Clothes in
although
general.
accessories can really spice up or dress up just a basic outfit. So I will pay attention to accessories.
Right. And accessory, that's another vocab word that we can just quick slide in here. accessory, accessory, which, like I said, is, as opposed to shirt or pant or skirt, an accessory is a hat or a belt or a watch or a necklace or a scarf. Something that is not really a piece of clothing, but that you add onto what you're wearing to add to it, to supplement it in some way.
Complements the clothing that you are wearing to complete your entire outfit.
Right, and in fact, there's a word probably on the tip of each of our tongues right now, just as we're talking, so let's give it to you. Ensemble. E-N-S-E-M-B-L-E, ensemble. Linda, what does ensemble mean?
So your ensemble is your entire outfit and includes your clothes, your accessories, everything, so it is all put together. It's a coordinated outfit.
Right, so when you take in the whole way someone has fashioned themselves, has dressed themselves, you could say, very nice ensemble you have here. The shirt and the pant and the hat and the scarf, they all go together. The shoes, exactly, yes. Interesting comment here from Joy. Steve Jobs killed fashion. Well, that's an opinion. I bet you because he would always wear just the black mock turtlenecks, or at least that's how he's always photographed,
But
is
that's
wearing
his
the black
style.
mock turtlenecks.
Yeah, I mean, black is classic, you know?
Yeah,
So
like we were saying, black is classic.
Black will never go out of style.
And did you know, some of you may remember this, because I think we mentioned this in another episode of the live stream, Steve Jobs actually only wore the black mock turtleneck and jeans when he was giving a presentation. Word got out that that was the way he dressed all the time, every day, 7 days a week, going to the office, going to a restaurant. He always had the black turtleneck and the jeans. Actually, that was just when he was giving a presentation. He wanted to be consistent in how he came across when he gave a presentation, so he did always dress like that then, but he would wear other clothing in other situations.
But it was a very intentional choice, fashion choice.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And Agatha, my hair, the thing you pay most attention to, my hair, because it tends to be the first thing people look at. Good hairstyle really makes a difference.
Yes, hair is very important.
Yeah. No, we could do a whole episode just on hair here, and maybe we will someday. But let's just get back to the poll. We still have just about 6% of you saying, darling, of course I'm interested in fashion. I like to dress well is sort of in second place here. 33% of you. As long as my clothes fit, 61% of you. So yeah, most of you are, just as long as they fit, I don't need to look like Johnny Depp or Angelina Jolie. And still no one for the sweatpants and flip-flops, so that's good to know. I'm glad to hear that we're all out of college at this point. But if you are still in college and you're watching us, great, we're glad to have you. If you're wearing sweatpants and flip-flops right now, great, glad to have you with us. Because I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this week. But come back next week in your sweatpants and your flip-flops, or wearing a tuxedo, or something in between, and we will have another topic for you, and more chances to practice your English and interact with us and think about articles in your trusty advanced magazine to help you grow in your confidence in English. But for today, I'm Peter.
I'm Linda.
Saying bye-bye
Bye.
and dress well, darling. Now,